Welcome to D&D Builds, where we have an outlet to make all sorts of ridiculous Dungeons & Dragons characters and stop driving the people in our lives insane with them. Today we're going to find a way to take out Arnold and become one of the most epic collector of skulls in all of action movies, Predator. If you want to chat about plenty of D&D stuff, check out the link to the Discord down in the description, and make sure to subscribe for plenty of D&D related content. And if you want access to the character sheets for any of my builds, feel free to check out my Patreon like these incredible people here, and a very special shout out to Kilo, Jason Willhammer, Devin Happy, Benjamin, and Tristan Bennett. They're my Dungeon Master level patrons, and they get to be part of D&D sessions that I stream right here on YouTube as well as on Twitch. But now let's figure out how to make this alien that can strike fear even into the hearts of Arnold Schwarzenegger himself. First things first, we gotta pick a race, and there's a new race from Spelljammer called the thri-kreen. Or maybe it's thri-kreen, I'm not quite sure on the pronunciation, but either way, it's a mantis type creature. It's hard to avoid the fact that the Predator has that crazy mandible mouth thing, and I feel like being a mantis type creature is the best way to pull that off. This gives you access to some unique features of the race. You're technically considered a monstrosity instead of humanoid. You have a chameleon carapace, which usually you rely more on technology for that, but don't worry, we'll circle back to that later when it comes to becoming invisible and camouflaging yourself. But the most notable thing, and frankly it's kind of broken if you use it the right way, is secondary arms. You have two slightly smaller arms, and they can manipulate objects, open or close doors, hold on to a tiny object, or wield a weapon that has the light property. This is a feature that's very ripe for exploitation, and we're definitely going to use it in this build. Choosing this race allows us to allocate the stats pretty much however we want. So with that in mind, let's jump into those stats. The Predator is pretty insanely strong, so we want to make sure we put some decent points into that. We're going to take Strength, bring it to 12, and then get another +2 from our racial bonus. Then we'll take Dexterity, bring it to 13, and then get another +1 from our other racial bonus. The Predator is fairly hard to kill, but we're only going to put 12 into Constitution, and I'll show you why a little later, because we're going to need as many of those points as we can get, because we also want to take our Intelligence, boost it to 14, because you're from another world, you're used to insane technologies, so you have to have some intelligence to understand how they work, and then finally Wisdom for your general perception ability. We want to bump that up to 14 as well. Then our Charisma, we're just going to dump, because you have a face only a mother could love.
You're one ugly mother.
Now let's choose the background. We did have a pretty considerably low constitution for someone like the Predator, but between being from outer space and wanting to have a bit more health, we're going to take the Wild Spacer background. This gives us skill proficiencies in athletics and survival, which is absolutely perfect for the Predator, and it gives us tool proficiencies in navigator's tools and space vehicles, which is also super perfect. The other thing is that this automatically gives the feat Tough. I brought this up in my Spelljammer is Broken video, but the Tough feat essentially gives you the equivalent of 4 more points into your Constitution modifier. Granted, you don't get the benefit of being better at your concentration checks or Constitution saving throws, but if that's not important for the build, you can just grab this and totally round out your health without having to worry about it. This opens up a ton of different avenues and is another part of Spelljammer that's open for exploitation, so we're gonna use it. Next up, we gotta choose a class, and we have the options of pretty much anything other than a charisma based one. But the Predators are known to be more of hunters than anything else, and they're used to surviving in the wild, so the starting class I'm going to go with is Ranger. Rangers get access to light and medium armor as well as shields, and we've seen the Predator wear what is the equivalent of pretty much all of those. You also get access to pretty much all weapons, and you get saving throws in strength and dexterity. As far as starting equipment, I would grab some short swords because that would be the best to replicate the blades on your arm, and frankly we're probably going to be making more of a strength based ranger than a dexterity one, but short swords are a finesse weapon, so you can use either ability score in that situation. You also get to choose 3 skills, and because we already have survival and athletics, we're going to grab perception so you can see your environment a little better, nature to help understand what world you wind up landing on, and then finally stealth, because stealth is a key feature of what you use on a regular basis. At first level of Ranger, you get to choose a favorite enemy, and this depends on which movie you're going with. If you're going Alien vs Predator, you can use monstrosities as your favorite enemy to help fight against xenomorphs. But we're going to go with most of the other versions of Predator and just target humanoids as your favorite enemy. You get advantage on survival checks to track those enemies, as well as advantage on intelligence checks to recall information about them. Finally, you also get a language of your choice that type of creature can speak. That's pretty helpful because you're a Predator that can still somehow speak a little bit of English. Also at first level, you get Natural Explorer, so you're especially adept at traveling through a particular type of environment. We usually see this alien race in a forest, so we're just going to choose forest. Then at second level of Ranger, you get to choose a fighting style, and there's a lot of great options here, but I'm going to choose blind fighting. This makes it so you're aware of any creatures within 10 feet of you, even if they're completely invisible, and this is going to be one of the better ways we're going to be able to replicate being able to see the heat signatures of other creatures with your mask on. Also at second level, you get access to some spell casting. You only know 2 spells at this level, so we're going to grab Hunter's Mark so you can help target your enemies a little better, and Zephyr Strike so you can really go in and slash the heck out of your enemies. Going forward, you will learn some more spells. The only other first level spell I would grab for when you level up in this class is Ensnaring Strike, because it's definitely something Predator would have in its arsenal just to wrap up what it's hunting and go in for the kill right after. Then at third level of Ranger, you get Primeval Awareness, allowing you to expend a spell slot to get a better view of your surroundings, and it's just like cranking up the sensitivity on your mask, which is going to be pretty helpful. And you also get to choose a Ranger Conclave. I was super tempted to go with Hunter here because you're usually dropped on a foreign planet and just left there to go hunting. Then you collect a bunch of skulls as your trophy and be on your way back to your home planet. But because of the way that most predators tend to do their hunting, there's no way that I could avoid going with something like Gloomstalker. This subclass allows you to really stalk your prey and be a master hunter, despite the fact that there is a hunter subclass, giving you access to Dread Ambusher, which gives you a bonus to your initiative rolls, making it so you're more likely to go first, and giving you an additional attack and extra damage on your first round of combat. But what really makes this subclass shine is Umbral Sight. It improves your dark vision ability, which is just another way of amping up that mask even more, but it also makes it so that way if you're in darkness, you're completely invisible. It doesn't cost you any sort of spells, it doesn't cost anything, just if you're in darkness, you're invisible. That's all there is to it. And considering that's a key way that the Predator fights, that's just too hard to avoid. Then at fourth level of Ranger, we get an ability score improvement, so we're going to boost up our strength because we're focusing more on being a super strong alien from another world. And then at level 5, you get the all-important extra attack, which is crucial for any martial class. Additionally, at level 5, you get to learn one more spell, and you get access to second level spell slots. Well, we could grab the spell Find Traps, just so that way you can help defend yourself against Arnold a little better. Most of your weapons are forged in a way that is pretty beyond anybody from Earth. So we're going to grab the spell Magic Weapon to help enhance your weapons up to a more otherworldly level of quality. At 6th level of Ranger, you get to choose another favorite enemy to target, and since we kind of leaned more towards the humanoid to start, we're going to go towards the monstrosity this time around for the Alien vs Predator movies. You can also choose one more environment for your natural explorer, and since we went forest to start, we can grab pretty much anything this time around. Then at 7th level of Ranger, you get to learn one more spell, so we finally will grab that Find Traps to help defend yourself against Arnold, and you get a feature from being a Gloomstalker known as Iron Mind, giving you proficiency in wisdom saving throws, making you a bit more resistant to mind-altering powers. Then at 8th level of Ranger, you get an ability score improvement, so we're going to boost up our strength again because you are pretty darn strong. And then at 9th level of Ranger, you can learn one more spell, and you gain access to level 3 spell slots. So the spell we're going to grab here is from the Gloomstalker spell list, and it's Fear, because you know how to stalk your enemies and really just scare the crap out of them. Then at 10th level, you get one more environment to choose from your natural explorer, and you get Hide in Plain Sight, which would allow you to spend 1 minute crafting camouflage for yourself, but this is kind of more of what's used against you by Arnold rather than what you would use against somebody else with your high technology. So instead, we're going to grab the optional alternative, Nature's Veil, allowing you to use a bonus action to magically become invisible along with any equipment you're wearing. Even though we can already turn invisible in normal darkness, this allows you to use it during the daytime. Then at 11th level of Ranger, you get to learn one more spell, and I would grab Conjure Barrage, because even though we usually use this when firing arrows, we're not really focusing on an archer type build for Predator. But this can also apply to any thrown weapon. Think of this as a really high-tech spear that Predator would throw, and then it would split into a bunch of different spears, creating a 60-foot cone of spears, forcing everybody to make a dexterity saving throw, and dealing 3d8 damage on a failed save or half as much on a successful one. Additionally, at 11th level, you get another feature from being a Gloomstalker, Stalker's Flurry. So now if you miss with a weapon attack, you can make another weapon attack as part of the same action, giving you a whole nother chance to hit. Then at 12th level of Ranger, we get another ability score improvement, so we're finally going to max out our strength. And then at 13th level of Ranger, Ranger, we get to learn one more spell, and it can be all the way up to a 4th level spell, which is perfect because now we can get a fully functional invisibility suit thanks to our Gloomstalker spell list, because we have access to greater invisibility. Then at 14th level of Ranger, you get to choose one more favorite enemy, and you might as well grab Beast since you're out in the wild anyways, and you get the Ranger feature Vanish, allowing you to take the hide action as a bonus action. And you can no longer be tracked by any non-magical means, so you won't be dripping any glowing blood anytime soon. Then at 15th level of Ranger, you get to learn one more spell, and there's nothing that applies too much, so you might as well grab something that might be a piece of technology like Protection from Energy, giving you resistance to one type of damage, either acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. Also at 15th level of Ranger, you get another feature from being a Gloomstalker, Shadowy Dodge. This specifically states that there are wisps of supernatural shadow around you, which just felt too spot on for me to not take this all the way to 15th level, allowing you to use your reaction to impose disadvantage on any attack roll coming your way. And by this point in the build, you may be wondering what the heck is going on, why aren't we getting any of the cool technology and whatnot, but I wanted to go all natural up until this point, because now we're finally going to do a multi-class. Thanks to having the tough feat, we didn't have to focus too much on our constitution, so we had plenty of well-rounded stats, and we got to throw plenty into our intelligence. So now we're going to jump over to Artificer. At first level of Artificer, you get some magical tinkerings, so you can play around with your very advanced technology, and you get some spell casting, allowing you to learn 2 cantrips and some spells. We'll grab Thorn Whip and pretend it's some sort of trap to lure in your enemies, but we're also going to grab Firebolt, because Firebolt can start replicating your blaster that you have attached to your shoulder. But you don't have to worry about if you have enough hands to sort it out, because part of your racial ability does give you additional hands to work with. So think of those smaller hands as something mechanical attached to your back. It can just hang out perched on your shoulder, holding onto a wand and doing all the blasting. And then you can also learn 3 spells at this level, so I would definitely grab Fairy Fire to help your targeting system that's built into your helmet much more, and follow it up with Snare since you are such a hunter. Then at 2nd level of Artificer, you get to learn some infusions, but we're only going to focus on the ones you can actually wear, and at this level of Artificer, there's only 2 you can have active at once. So we're just going to boost your attack capabilities, giving you an enhanced arcane focus, which grants +1 to that shoulder cannon you currently have, and enhanced weapon, giving you +1 to any weapon you're wielding, including those blades attached to your arm. Also at this level, you get to learn one more spell, so we're just going to enhance your physical abilities, granting you the spell Long Strider, which really just boosts your movement speed by 10 feet. Then at 3rd level of Artificer, you get Right Tool for the job, allowing you to always have the right tools on hand, and you get Artificer Specialist, allowing you to choose a subclass for being an Artificer. And you already have one shoulder cannon with having your smaller arm hang onto a wand, but we're going to add another shoulder cannon to the other side, diving into the subclass Artillerist. This allows you to learn the spells Shield and Thunder Wave, which can both be reskinned as pure technology, but more importantly, it gives you an Eldritch Cannon. The cannon can be tiny, which means your smaller arms can hold on to it as it's a tiny object, and since you're already casting Firebolt with one side, we're just mostly going to be using the Force Ballista, allowing you to make a ranged spell attack at up to 120 feet, and the target will take 2d8 force damage, while also pushing it 5 feet away. This is only a smaller amount of damage, but it's pretty crucial considering you can actually do it as a bonus action. Then at 4th level of Artificer, we get an ability score improvement, and since we already have maxed out strength, and we have plenty of health thanks to having the tough feat, we're just going to boost up our intelligence, improving our abilities with pretty much everything Artificer related. This allows us to learn 2 more spells between increasing our intelligence and leveling up, but we'll save both of them for next level, because at 5th level of Artificer, you get access to a 2nd level spell slot. We're going to grab Web because that helps set that many more traps being a hunter, and it allows you to do some bonus damage if you're shooting anything fire related into it. And then we'll follow it up with Spider Climb so you can scale trees that much more easily. Also, as being 5th level and Artillerist, you automatically get the spell Scorching Ray, which you can immediately think of as part of using that blaster on your shoulder. Finally, the last feature we get as being an Artificer of 5th level comes from the Artillerist subclass, and you get Arcane Firearm. So now that wand you have perched on your shoulder now turns into an Arcane Firearm, giving you a bonus 1d8 to any damaging spell cast through that firearm. That brings us all the way up to level 20 in this build, and while it does have to dip dip into a couple different ability scores, I think we managed to pull it off pretty darn well. We've got an amazingly efficient hunter that also has the ability to use plenty of technology. If you want access to the character sheet for this build or any of my other builds, feel free to check out my Patreon linked in the description down below, where you can be just as incredibly awesome as these people. And a very special shout out to Kilo, Jason Willhammer, Devin Happy, Benjamin, and Tristan Bennett. They're my Dungeon Master level patrons, and they get to be part of D&D sessions that I stream right here on YouTube as well as on Twitch. Let me know what you think about this build in the comments down below, and if there's any other builds that you want, feel free to let me know down there as well. And if you want to chat more about D&D stuff, feel free to check out our Discord linked in the description, where we chat about tons of D&D related stuff. Finally, if you made it to the very end of this video, let me know by hitting that like button, and especially let me know what your favorite version of Predator is, whether it's pure old school with Arnold fighting against Danny Glover in the city, going up against the Xenomorphs, or even the newest rendition on Hulu, Prey. I always like to know what everybody's favorites are, but personally my favorite is going to be the original. But you can build whichever one you want, especially if you use this particular Predator build. And if you use it, I'll be here hoping you roll at least 3 nat 20s in your next D&D session.